So one of the people who I've learned a lot from is Ty Lopez. And I've actually known him since before he's famous. And I will tell you one thing about Ty. He's exactly as he looks in the videos. So, you know, he has the old video where he's like, Lamborghini, books, knowledge. Like, that wasn't a sales video. That was Ty as Ty. Right? Like, if you meet Ty, definitely at that time, he was basically just like, books, Lamborghinis. You know I like more than... you know I like more Lamborghinis? Knowledge. Like, that is Ty. And I learned a lot from Ty. And he's been great to me. So one of the things that I learned from Ty was this idea that you've got to actually stop what it is that you're doing, just completely stop everything, and strategize. And of course, I've known that to a decent extent. That's not like a revelation, but watching him do it was something that I really took a lot out of. What he would do is he lived up in the Hollywood Hills at the time, then later went to Beverly Hills, and now has houses everywhere. And basically he would, but at the time he was in, you know, like 2013, he's up in the Hollywood Hills. And he'd be like, hey, I'm gonna go to Palm Springs this weekend, Owen. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, why Palm Springs? And he's like, you know, I go there to think. I'm going there to think. And I'm like, okay, going there to think, huh? Well, enjoy Palm Springs, Ty. You know, go do your thing. And he said, no, the reason that I go there is because I need to get complete and total focus for what it is that I'm doing and look at my life from top to bottom and build a strategy. And I thought that was very, very fascinating, is getting out of the environment that's going to distract you, kind of pull away from your life and get altitude. Another one of my great mentors, Eben Pegg, he had a whole program called Get Altitude. Get some altitude and get a sense of where it is that you're going. You've got to be able to pause. You've got to be able to think. You've got to be able to look at the bigger picture. Now, I can tell you maybe a little bit more on Ty, kind of funny enough. The biggest thing that I learned from him was also that in addition to him strategizing, right, is that he was always reading a ton of books. Ty goes the best mentors. Like whatever mentor he wants, he just goes right to the top, and he'll just do whatever it takes. So whatever it takes, pay him what it takes, do what it takes, befriend him, whatever he's got to do, and he'll get around them. He basically just looks for the best. He basically just views pretty much everybody as clowns except the best, goes to the best, learns from them. And clowns, by the way, not as humans, but just as like them claiming that they have knowledge. He just goes the very, very best. And what winds up happening is that he then takes what he learns, integrates it, makes it his own, and then he goes out to Palm Springs and places like that, and he just sits there and he internalizes it and makes a plan. And you would see him just finding all these different ways to make everything dovetail so perfectly. And I mean, I could go in crazy detail about what I saw, but it's like, you know, he'd invite these people over, then they would do social media posts, then that would get Ty's name out, then that would create money for cold traffic, then the cold traffic would make money for different mentors, and the mentors would get him to this level, and then he'd bring in these people, then he would use that for health to get his health up. Like, it was like every single thing that you study in self-help, and he was like the Michael Jordan, like this juggernaut just doing it, and you watch him just shoot up and up and up. The guy owns like a Radio Shack and Pier 1 and Dress Bar now, and he's just everywhere, he's doing big things. It's super duper crazy. Now, how his story winds up, I don't know, right? You know, it's my story, anybody's story. You never know how it's going to wind up. Things happen. You never know how things go. But I'm just saying what I've seen thus far has been very impressive. And the main thing, the foundation to all of it, was ongoing education and then really just taking a pause and clearing out all the clutter, getting away from all these people and distractions, everything, turning your phone off and making a plan. Okay, just getting leverage and making some kind of a plan. And so I've really co-opted this in my own life, okay? And by the way, Ty should say what he thinks of what I just said, because I'm just giving my opinion as an outsider looking in, right? He would have his own opinion. Because people always say like what they saw from me, and half the time I look at him like, that's not what I did, but that's how they saw it. So he would have his own opinion. He's not sitting here, right? I'm just saying what I saw, I think is complimentary. But the point that I'm making is that I put this in my own life, and what I often do is I sit alone just in an office for several days, and I look at my entire schedule for the year, and I look at every single thing that it is that I'm doing, and then what I do is I audit it, and I go audit, and I do many different types of audits. And I actually do these in live events that I do, so maybe you'll come and work with me in real life, and I'll do it with you. You can actually click the link below. I even do free events all over the world. I've got Philadelphia, New York City, Seattle, San Francisco, Chicago, Dallas, Houston, Austin, Texas, Boston, Washington, D.C., San Diego, Los Angeles, Miami, all Florida. I mean, I've got Hawaii. I got everywhere coming up. I got my team doing this all over the world. We actually take you through a process, very, very specific process that makes you come out the other side. It is incredible. And actually, when you sign up right now, because don't wait to sign up. You sign up right now, I should send you a free course with a lot of these fundamentals already, go real deep, and you're going to love the free course. Amazing. So go sign up right now. Come meet in person. If you can't meet in person, even though we do these all over the world with my team, you can actually also do a free phone call, and on that free phone call, we'll also give you one-on-one feedback, and when you do the free phone call, we give you the course, and the course is very powerful and very well structured. So if you want to get the results you want, probably be a pretty good time, like now, to just click the link below, get it started, and I'm excited to work with you in person or my team or somebody to get you where you want to go. Very excited to meet you in person when you tell me about the result that you got. Okay, so do that now. You're to talk thinking, this is the time to do that. So the idea being is that I'll sit there and I do some different audits. Here's what a couple of them are. Okay, I'll just give you a couple of them. So what I do is I look at every single thing that I'm doing in my day, everything. What's going in my mouth? Who are the people I'm hanging out with? Who are my friends? Who are the people that I'm dating? How much time I'm spending with my children? What am I reading? What influences am I taking in? Am I going the best? Am I being spiritually renewed? All these different things. I look at this in detail. And some things, unfortunately, are going to go by the wayside. You know, I'm going to optimize for different things at different points. Anybody who's telling you they're doing every single thing, that's probably unlikely. But I also realize within a larger context that maybe some of those things that I'm putting aside, I'll get to later. And you'll kind of see, if you kind of watch my story and you watch my life, you'll see me really optimize for something. Sometimes it's like pretty savage. And then other things I'm letting fall off. You're like, how come he's falling off there? But I put a huge amount of time resources and focus resources into one thing to get the certain result. And then part of that master plan is that then later I have more time, I can spin back around, I could do something else. It's kind of how I'm operating. And so what I do is I lay every single thing out. And then I'm going to rate from 1 to 10 how much I enjoy it, how much value it has, and I start to try to get a sense of where it's fitting in the bigger purpose. So what you're going to find is that sometimes, and this is an example that I like to give a lot, sometimes what you'll find is that there's things that you think were valuable but actually weren't as valuable as you thought. One for me, for example, I've given this example before, but just to reiterate it here within this context, I used to like to go to eat at this restaurant called Croft Alley every single lunch. I really like Croft Alley in Los Angeles, by the way. It's really good. There's one right near Rodeo Drive right now, but they used to have another one in Melrose Place. Really, really, really tasty. The people there are great, and I love that restaurant. So of course I love to go there. I love to treat myself, go to Croft Alley. Go check it out if you're in LA. But what I found was when I actually did the math on it, by the time that I called the Uber, the car ride service, by the time that I got in the Uber, took the Uber there, got set up in the restaurant, ordered the food, ate the food, chat with my friends, called the other Uber back, you're looking at 2 to 3 hours a day. And it doesn't seem like that. You're really getting baby stepped into it. To be fair, everybody's kind of in their reality, and it is the job of Croft Alley to get me to eat there. I really hope the people that work there see me on this rant about them. They're like, I thought that guy was nice. But anyway, I love Croft Alley is my point. But it is their job to get you to go there. It's their agenda to get you to go there. It is Uber's job to want you to use Uber. And every single person in the world is on their agenda, and they're going to propose things to you as a win-win. And some of those things are definitely going to be a win-win, and some are not. Some are maybe going to be a win for some people and not others, right? There's people for whom spending 2-3 hours a day to go to Croft Alley and use Uber is a win, because that's a big deal for them. For me, maybe there was a point where it was. I really love Los Angeles, and I love taking a nice lunch with me and my friends. Do I not work hard enough that I don't deserve a nice lunch, a nice salad, right? Of course. Why should I be deprived of that? Why couldn't I have that? But at a certain point, you've also got to start to do the math on this. And if you're doing this 7 days a week, and that is 3 hours a day, that is 21 hours a week. And then if you multiply 20, we'll call it 20 hours. If you multiply that by 50, now all of a sudden you're at 20 times 50. And that is a lot more hours than you should probably be spending to take an Uber to Croft Alley and have lunch. And what if you actually reclaim those? And then all of a sudden, if you're very, very focused, next thing you know, you're sitting out here in Big Sur, in like a heaven on earth. Or maybe you're, we just ate in some of the most beautiful farm-to-table restaurants in the country. Luxurious restaurants that we're sitting at out here on gorgeous bridges, going up into, what was that called? Carmel by the Sea. Apparently Clint Eastwood was the mayor there, and that was incredibly beautiful. On beaches there, having a beautiful, beautiful time. And I've had a great little experience being out here. Now, for me to get out here, I've got to manage my time. I've got a business to run. I've got a lot of people who I'm working with, and it's tough, right? You might think, at a certain point, you just do whatever you want. No, that's called like when you just cash out of a big tech company or something, you just never work again. And that's fine too. That's got its own space. Although, by the way, I also coach many people that have done that in big tech, and half of what I'm coaching them on is how miserable they are, that they've got drug habits because they don't work enough anymore. They have no aspiration. They've lost their personal boundaries, and they're on the path of destruction. And one of my clients even died, who's famous, and it was very, very sad to see that happen. And it's just the worst thing ever. So even wishing for that is kind of lame, even though it's cool and lame at the same time. You see my point. So what I'm getting at here is that you've got to begin to start to audit your life. And you got to say to yourself, like, is this really that cool? And then what I talked about in the last video was this idea of acknowledging your pain. I did another video here recently in Big Sur, you might check it out. I talked about how to acknowledge your pain. And what I realized was I had some pain around my life kind of looking the same when I'm in Los Angeles. And so at a certain point, I've got to say to myself, okay, if this is what my life looks like, is this what I want for my life? I do appreciate the people I'm dating, my friends, my family, my business, the things that I do, but I want to go experience more things. And so what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to really, really strategize and optimize what it is that I'm doing and really, really drill down on it closely and look at everything at a very, very high level so that I can just go to do what I want. Now, let me tell you, my past 2 years, I have driven almost the entire country. I've gone to probably, or I wouldn't say, I mean, that's very subjective, right? Not every road in the entire country, but like I've gone to a ton of different states, the most beautiful place in the country, all over the place. I mean, while most people were locked down, I was just driving everywhere. I did a whole entire video series. You'll see that coming out soon, or maybe it's out when you're seeing this in the future. And I really pushed my creative skills to the levels that I never thought that I could, but I also saw beautiful things that I never thought that I could see. And I had to get to the point where I'd want to be able to run my business maybe, 4 or 5 days, and then I wanted to be out there experiencing life, doing what I want to do while building the most incredible video content on the road to take us to the next level. And that's what I began to realize is that there are next levels to this game. I talked about in the last video as well. There's levels to this game, right? See, I used to look at my life, and it was pretty cool, right? I was teaching programs in like every major city. And, I had my favorite restaurant in every major city, my favorite spa in every major city, my favorite nightclubs in every major city, the main people who I'm dating in every major city. And that was nice. Get into a city, somebody who you're dating just comes and grabs you from the airport, takes you to your favorite restaurant, takes you back home, has a nice evening with you. Then you go to your favorite spa the next day. Then you go teach a bunch of people in that city. Maybe shoot some videos in that city. You're having a good time. It kind of felt like I lived in 20 different cities. I'm like, wow, my job is to live in 20 different cities, to date people in 20 different cities, to go to spas in 20 different cities, to share energy with people in all these different cities, and then I have my base in LA. I'm thinking my life's pretty good. I'm thinking like I'm winning, right? But what I realized is that there's always that next level. Let me tell you something. I'll probably make another whole video about this at some point. I later realized that it's a much, much bigger world out there, that even, having people in different area codes and going to all these different cities, there's natural beauty out there that connects you to God in ways that you can't even imagine, and not in some weird way where you're having like, oh, what's up, buddy? But like in a way where you are truly experiencing life, connected to it. And I'm going to go much, much deeper in that later. But there are ways of experiencing life that have so much more depth than like that first life that I described to you being everywhere in all these different cities. That's 50 layers above probably the level that you may be at or most people are at. But then what I'm doing now is many more levels above. And I hope that I find those next levels. Like part of why I'm out here is looking for those next levels, not just this level, but those next levels. And what I'm saying is at a certain point, you've got to ask yourself, if I'm kind of stuck and I'm kind of in a trap right now, if I'm in a bit of a trap where I'm waking up, I'm going and kind of doing this job, I come home very, very demoralized and tired because it's soul sucking, then I need to numb myself to get rid of the pain and tension that I have around this, then I'm having arguments with my spouse, then I've got these kids that I got to pay for, whatever that is, whatever your personal life situation is. Maybe you don't have kids, but you're just not in a position to really get that proactive. You've got to really start to audit like, okay, is there a way that maybe I could get rid of this more expensive rent so I could work less, so I could work on my dreams? And that sucks. You got to work you got to live in a place that's not as comfortable, but sometimes you got to get out of your comfort zone. You've got to say to yourself, how much time do I actually have? How can I eke out and carve out a tiny bit of time to create the life that I want? Because much like Croft Alley or Uber, even businesses that hire you, they're trying to get you on their agenda, and God bless them, and there's people who want that. That's a good thing. That's a win-win, and that's honest work. But if you don't personally resonate with that as a long-term vision for your life, and you're looking at your life right now, and you're trying to audit your life, and you're saying to yourself that you're basically in a trap, and you're stuck, you're gonna have to audit every last little minute of it. And much like Ty Lopez going to Palm Springs, you're gonna have to find your own personal Palm Springs, and you're gonna have to go there, and whether that's in your basement, right? Whether that's like hiding in the corner of your work, and you're like, leave me alone under the table. But some people have Palm Springs, some people have hiding under a table, your own cardboard box, whatever you gotta do. But start actually looking at your life in depth and seeing where it's going. And start spending a lot of time doing this. And you got to couple this action, right? You don't just sit there all day, making the master plan all day and not doing it. I remember my little stepbrother back when I was a kid, he started doing cocaine. And he's like, I just sit there on coke, writing my plans. Sometimes when I sober up, I realized that was crazy what I thought. But some of it was genius, right? You don't want to be like my little stepbrother that was hooked on coke. Right? That's not the way. But what you want to do is you want to be at a point where you're taking massive action, but you're looking at the plans that you're making in great detail, really auditing your life, and you've got to get to the point that anybody pulling you back, they're gone, right? Politely and lovingly, and in the nicest way possible, because they might be a little traumatized, so in the nicest way possible. But you talk to them, you don't just start ousting everyone from your life frantically, but you got to be honest with yourself. Every stupid habit not getting you where you want to go, it's gone. And the reason I mentioned the Croft Alley thing was because I like that. And there's going to be a lot of habits and hobbies that you have that you like, but end of the day, is that the next level that you want to get to? And if it's not, it's gone. You got to sit there in your own personal Palm Springs and just go through your whole life and audit it and see where it's going. So here's what I'm going to leave you with. I want you to begin to imagine what the next level is. You probably don't even know, but just start opening your mind to what that next level could be. Cover that in the last video that I just shot right over there. Look up that video if you need to. But there is a next level. Start conceptualizing what that is. Start looking for people that are operating at that level, modeling them, mentoring with them, learning from them, or get in masterminds of like-minded people. Then as you do that, audit your time, start using it more resourcefully, and start seeing how this can feed into this, can feed into this. I'll make other videos just talking about a million examples of it, but just to get the ball rolling here, seeing how different things can be synergistic and think laterally and outside the box and become a master player of the game. Now, once you do this, and you start seeing all these different skill sets that you want to build, and efficiencies that you want to build, and people you want to meet, and things that you want to learn, and places you want to go, and paradigms that you want to reach, as you're doing that, then what's going to wind up happening is that strategy that you've built is going to result in an absolutely incredible life. Now, of course, most people, you're walking through life, they're not going to be doing this. They're just derping through life. They've been fed the script. They've eaten the script, and they're just going to do what daddy says. And that's it. And they're not going to question nothing. And that's okay. That's up to you if you want to resonate with that or resonate with that next level. That is your personal decision what your standards are going to be. But I would recommend to you that you increase your standards and that you move to that next level, because what you don't understand is that while they may say they're happy, that is a living form of death. You are growing or dying, and they are dying, not just physically, but energetically, year by year, looking a little bit worse. If you don't see them for a year, you come back, little bit more attrition, little bit worse, little bit more decay, and living a slow death. And if you want that, that's up to you. But I'd recommend you get out. And when you get out, I'd recommend you make a commitment to going all the way. Not just doing what most people do, by the way, where even when they try to get out, they create a golden prison. They think they've escaped the prison. I've escaped the prison. No, you built a golden prison. But commit to getting out of the prison altogether. Like Neo in the Matrix, going layers and layers deeper into what is holding you back, what is influencing you, what is brainwashing you, what is taking you away from your core true desires and the core true gifts that you want to give to the world, the true enjoyment that you want to have, your connection to your higher power, what that means to you, and what that could mean to the entire world. So I'd recommend that you do that instead. Just a personal hobby to do that. I mean, it's everything, but we'll call it a hobby. Do it as a personal hobby. Enjoy it. Be strategic. So just, again, like Ty and Palm Springs, stop everything you're doing. Get very, very strategic. Analyze it from every angle. See how it fits together. Look at where it's going. Nobody's doing this. See where you're in a trap. See where you're in a bind, like a jiu-jitsu hold where you just can't get out. And you got to start thinking of ways to just slowly grind your way out, like a rat chewing off its own tail that's trapped or something like that. You may have to do that. It's tough. It's rough. I understand. But on the other side of this is something so beautiful you don't even imagine right now. I want to be the one that actually helps take you by the hand and walk you past smoking wreckage and take you to that point and be doing events all over the world. And I'm very, very excited to meet you in person. Los Angeles, New York, San Francisco, Chicago, Boston, DC, Philadelphia, Seattle, Dallas, Houston, Austin, Miami, San Diego, going everywhere this year. And I got my team all over the world, all over Europe, all over everywhere. Click the link below, and I'm also going to be sending you a free course, very, very well structured. It's going to take you through all of these powerful foundations. If for any reason you can't make one of the events, which really you should, and frankly, even if you are making the events, we also do free calls. If you sign up for that free call, we'll also get you on to the free course. So very, very good. Click that link. You're going to love it. I'll see you inside, and I'll see you on the other side. Excited to meet you in person. Back with more soon. Peace.